Oh, hi. I'm Desireé Cousteau. Before I became an erotic actress, I did many other things in my life. But no matter what I did, it always seemed that people, men and women, always wanted to get into my pants. There was a time that I was a reporter.
In 1979, while mainstream Hollywood was releasing Alien and Apocalypse Now, an obscure director named Leonard Kirtman was crafting something equally disturbing, a psychological thriller that critics would later compare to Hitchcock's Rear Window and David Lynch's Darkest Nightmares. But here's the twist. It was commissioned as a quick cash grab vehicle for one of the industry's biggest stars, Desireé Cousteau. What Kirtman delivered instead was so experimental, so deliberately unsettling, that the distributor threatened to bury it completely. The film was called Inside Desireé Cousteau, and even the star herself didn't know what she was actually filming until she saw the final cut. What happened behind those cameras remains one of Golden Age cinema's most disturbing production stories. The entire film is structured around a mystery that Kirtman hid from everyone, the cast, the crew, even the investors. He shot multiple endings. He gave actors contradictory scripts, and when one crew member discovered what was really happening, they walked off set and never returned. By the time the distributors saw the rough cut, they had a choice: release a potential masterpiece that nobody wanted, or recut it into something unrecognizable. They chose both. And that decision created two completely different films. To understand why this film exists, you need to understand 1978. The Golden Age was dying. Theaters that had once shown Deep Throat to packed houses were closing. The VHS revolution was beginning, and with it came a brutal truth. Audiences would rather rent cheap home videos than pay for theatrical experiences. Directors like Leonard Kirtman, a former documentary filmmaker who had built a reputation for visual experimentation, were facing extinction. His previous films had been critical successes, but commercial failures. This was supposed to be his redemption, a mainstream crowd pleaser starring the industry's hottest name. Desireé Cousteau was at her absolute peak. Discovered in 1977, she'd become known for naturalistic acting and a willingness to work with ambitious directors. Her name on a marquee guaranteed ticket sales. When Kirtman pitched Inside Desireé Cousteau, investors saw dollar signs, a psychological interview film, intimate and revealing, with the biggest star in the business. What could go wrong? Everything. Here's what nobody tells you about Inside Desireé Cousteau. The interview you see on screen? It wasn't scripted. Kirtman was using a technique called method manipulation. He was psychologically pushing Desireé toward a breakdown, and the cameras were rolling the entire time. Production started January 1979 inches, a rented Hollywood Hills mansion, budget $35,000. But Kirtman made one decision that would define everything. He hired Jack Beckett, a disgraced Hollywood cinematographer who'd worked on legitimate studio pictures in the 60s. Beckett brought 35mm cameras, expensive, professional equipment that was almost never used in mature features. But here's the real secret. He used Orson Welles' lighting techniques from Citizen Kane: high-contrast noir shadows, single-source lighting, and long static takes that forced performers to sustain real emotion. The shoot lasted 11 days, but it felt like a psychological experiment. Kirtman told Desireé the film was about an actress reflecting on her career. He told Jamie Gillis, cast as the interviewer, that he was playing a predatory journalist. He told the crew they were making an art film that would premiere at Cannes. All three versions were lies. The truth was buried in the script's final 5 pages, which only Kirtman had read. Those pages contained a twist ending that would reframe the entire film, turning what appeared to be a confessional documentary into something far more sinister. One crew member, a script supervisor, accidentally saw those final pages during week 2. She quit immediately and allegedly told Desireé, "Don't let them release this." Desireé ignored the warning. The centerpiece scene, a 12-minute single take where Desireé discusses losing her identity. No cuts, no safety net, just raw confession, or was it? That ambiguity is what makes the film unforgettable. Here's why Inside Desireé Cousteau feels like it was made yesterday. The film's entire thesis is about performative identity, the terror of losing yourself to your public image. In 1979, this seemed pretentious. In 2026, it's a documentary about Instagram influencers, OnlyFans creators, and anyone who's ever felt trapped by their online persona. The cinematography reinforces this. Beckett used what he called ethical voyeurism, keeping the camera at middle distance, making the viewer an observer, not a participant. The intimate scenes feel clinical, almost uncomfortable, because you're watching someone perform intimacy rather than experiencing it. The sound design is equally brilliant. The interview sequences have ambient noise, distant traffic, overhead lights humming, a clock ticking, creating this sense of time running out, of a life being documented and archived while it's still being lived. And that ending, without spoiling it, recontextualizes everything. The final 90 seconds reveal whether you've been watching a documentary, a confession, or a horror film. Different viewers interpret it differently, and that's intentional. Ebert wrote, "I'm not certain what I watched, but I know I'll never forget it." The film vanished by 1981 commercial failure. Kirtman's career never recovered. He made low-budget features through the mid-80s, but nothing with this ambition. He died in 2001, months before his masterpiece was rediscovered. Desireé Cousteau gave one interview about the film to an underground magazine called Cinema Blue. She said, "Watching it felt like looking at a stranger wearing my face." She retired in 1986 and has rarely spoken publicly since. For 15 years, Inside Desireé Cousteau was essentially lost a footnote, a failure, a cautionary tale about artistic ambition in a commercial industry. Then in 1997, a pristine 35mm director's cut print was found in a Burbank storage facility. When Vinegar Syndrome released it on DVD in 2001, the film found its audience. Online forums exploded. Film students at NYU organized screenings. Academic papers analyzed its feminist subtext. Suddenly, this forgotten 1979 experiment was being discussed alongside Taxi Driver and Mulholland Drive as a meditation on Hollywood's soul-crushing machinery. Today, it's considered one of the Golden Age's most important films, not for what it shows, but for what it reveals about the price of performance. In a world of curated identities and parasocial relationships, Kirtman's vision feels prophetic. So was Leonard Kirtman a visionary, or did he exploit Desireé Cousteau's vulnerability for art? Desireé herself said she felt manipulated, pushed to reveal emotions she might never have shown otherwise. Brilliant direction or unethical filmmaking? That gray area is exactly what makes Inside Desireé Cousteau so haunting today. What do you think? Visionary or exploiter? Drop your answer in the comments. If you're fascinated by lost Golden Age masterpieces and their dark stories, check out my free ebook link in the description. And don't forget to subscribe for deep dives into the films Hollywood wants you to forget. Vote in the community poll to choose our next director.